Hey guys, it's Go Do Your Own Research. What happens when enormous wealth, corporate power, and global fame collide? With the currency of attention and influence, brands like Coca-Cola and Pepsi didn't just sell drinks, they sold identity, happiness, and trust. They spent billions of dollars and turned their sugary, unhealthy products into daily habits. They put some of the most powerful celebrities on the planet, like Michael Jackson and Bill Cosby, in front of kids and sold them a dream.
Looking for me?
And years later, the same figures that were presented as icons went on to be accused of multiple serious assaults against children and young people, which they denied. Then followed years of legal battles and battles of resources, millions of dollars spent on legal teams, and millions more on public relations. And we're going to look at how these brands create a system which enables a power imbalance, where money, influence, and access to audiences intersect and enables predatory behavior, while we watch narratives being shaped in real time, while those making the accusations, the victim, often struggle to be heard and are targeted by fan bases. This is what happens when trust is manufactured and power is unevenly distributed. It's hard to know what the truth is.
Because I know Michael well enough that he wouldn't do anything like that. I know that for a fact.
As businesses, the Coca-Cola Company and PepsiCo did not get off to the best of starts. The original Coca-Cola contained alcohol, which was banned under Prohibition, and cocaine. It was invented by a pharmacist from Georgia called John Pemberton, who was addicted to morphine after being injured in the war as a soldier. And in an attempt to curb his addiction, he began to experiment with various painkillers and toxins until he came up with French wine of coca.
French wine of coca was a heady mix of Bordeaux red wine mixed with caffeine and coca leaf extract. But at $1 a bottle and tasting bitter, it was a niche market.
That's the way they'd asked for them. I think the idea was that it had a little dope in it.
That's right.
But that was just a rumor. We never knew that for sure.
Well, it did. But in 1903, they took out the cocaine. There was a little bit of cocaine in original Coca-Cola.
When he died of stomach cancer, he was still an addict, as was his son, and he had to sell the business. And the guy who created PepsiCo, Caleb Bradham, also had issues. He created a soda which he sold at his pharmacy as an alternative to the popular Coca-Cola without the addictive ingredients. And he did very well out of selling the syrup, but during the war he stockpiled sugar supplies and then went bankrupt when the price crashed. And he also had to sell off his business to an investor. Both of these drinks were kind of marketed as a medicinal soft drink pick-me-up and became rival brands.
Guth moved Pepsi to Long Island City, New York. There he built an enormous full-service bottling plant on the East River. Atop the massive new factory, he put up a huge marquee. There was no mistaking it. Guth made Pepsi-Cola a prized trademark.
So what both these drinks companies had in common was they both used an immense amount of sugar to disguise their actual taste. Pepsi was owned by a sweets company. One can contains 9 teaspoons of sugar. In the 80s, Coca-Cola replaced real cane sugar with high fructose corn syrup, a sugar substitute. You know what else it contains? Caffeine. And so to take the focus away from how unhealthy they were and to make sure their market kept expanding, they started to position kids in their adverts as if it was safe and wholesome. In reality, consumption of sweetened sugared beverages like Pepsi and Coca-Cola have been linked to increased risk of heart disease, obesity, and diabetes.
You got a lot to live, and Pepsi's got a lot to give.
For years, Pepsi and Cola gave millions to national health organizations, but also spent millions fighting legislative efforts to reverse the country's obesity epidemic. In a 5-year study by Boston University, they lobbied against at least 28 public health bills aimed at reducing soda consumption. That's paying off the people in power. They have contracts with schools to host vending machines. They're one of the primary sources of sugar in children's diets. benefits.
We know that drinking soda really increases our risk for obesity, for diabetes.
Right.
Now we're looking at heart disease, but some other components, things like soda contains phosphoric acid, which actually leaches calcium from our bones, so can promote osteoporosis. It has caramel coloring, which now we're thinking is a carcinogen, so could lead to cancer. We're learning that soda really is worse than we originally thought it was. There are so many components to soda that are not helpful or healthful for us. So soda really has no nutritional value. It's just sugar, water, and actually has some really detrimental things.
Historically, they have spent billions annually on advertising globally. In countries like Mexico, fizzy drinks are easier to access than fresh water. The average consumption per day is 2 litres. Many food and drink ads seen by children promote high sugar, salt or fat products. When everyone in the advert looks healthy and happy, enjoying their best life, you would never guess it's these products making them obese.
Who is the Pepsi generation? Just about everyone with the young view of things. Active, livelier people with a liking for Pepsi-Cola.
They sponsor athletes and the Olympics and pay for schools' sports facilities. Billions have been spent refining how these products are presented, who promotes them, how they're perceived and who they reach. Children don't just see the product, they see someone they trust using it, like their favourite artist.
I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these.
Cola taste that's real, supernatural deal. Ow, who you gonna call?
New 3-liter Coke, the Thirst Buster, the biggest bottle of Coke around. Hey, you don't want to run out of Coca-Cola. Get Thirst Buster and save.
I ain't afraid of no thirst.
If excitement sells soft drinks, and it does, then Pepsi's beverage businesses around the world are about to get a rocket boost in the person of Michael Jackson.
Mr. Jackson?
You're a whole new generation. You're dancing through the day. You're grabbing for the magic on the run. You're a whole new generation. You're loving what you do. I put a Pepsi in the motion, but that choice is up to you. Hey, you're the Pepsi generation. Cause the down and taste the thrill of today.
This stuff is great. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Whew.
When Bill Cosby was a prominent spokesperson for Coca-Cola, his image of a kid-friendly family man and his commercials made him seem like someone you could trust, not someone who was using drinks to drug women and girls, as would later be revealed in court documents when icons like Michael Jackson and Bill Cosby appeared in their adverts. They made people believe that using these products could improve the lives of young, impressionable audiences. Pepsi sponsored Michael Jackson's world tours, where in countries like Mexico and Thailand, he visited schools and gave away fizzy drinks and his merchandise. He met the president and stayed at the presidential suite, and then Pepsi took over the local drinks market. No one suspected he would do anything to harm children. Through them, these products became part of everyday life, and in some cases opened up opportunities for them to be abused by these child predators.
Michael's biggest fans, and ours, are the teenagers of the world.
He says that I know you're stressed out about all the stuff that's going on, so I have something that can relax you. He went to the room and he emptied out a Coke can, and I think it was Diet Coke, I don't know, but he got a bottle of wine and he put it in there, and then he took it to me and I asked him, he said drink it, and I said what's that? And he said it's drinking, so I drank it. I didn't like the taste.
Pepsi ended the partnership with Michael Jackson when a boy called Geordie Chandler publicly accused him of molestation, and he was arrested on his return to the US. He also disclosed he was addicted to painkillers. But in the 80s, when they started their partnership, it was on the set of a Pepsi commercial. He met James Safechuck, who also went on to accuse him of molestation.
I wasn't necessarily a big fan. And then when I got the commercial...
Mr. Jackson?
The
Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, the Pepsi commercial. When You See Me Meet Him is actually my first time seeing him. You know, at that point I was pretty excited. Was otherworldly, I guess.
James Safechuck and Wade Robson discuss the intimate details of their relationships with Michael Jackson.
Everybody wanted to meet Michael or be with Michael. And then he likes you.
The upcoming HBO documentary, Leaving Neverland. That's the name of Jackson's ranch, where Robson claims 7 years of sexual abuse with the world-famous performer first began. Two men who say that Michael Jackson sexually abused them as children are opening up about their experiences with the pop icon. Wade Robson and James Safechuck are featured in an explosive new documentary that premieres this weekend on HBO. Both men also sued the Jackson estate, but their lawsuits were dismissed because of the statute of limitations. They are appealing that.
In 2026, another family, the Cassios, who were close family friends, are now saying Michael Jackson molested them back in the 1990s while on the Pepsi-sponsored Dangerous Tour. And many people do not believe them. For years, they went on TV and defended Michael Jackson, saying he could never hurt children.
Facts are the facts, and the facts are that the estate has been covering up this kinds of stuff for years. They covered it up when I represented him. 20 years ago, they covered it up. They had these, they hid it away. I mean, this is all about the estate trying to keep making money. If I were the beneficiaries of the estate, in a weird way, they should be appalled at what's happening to the estate, which they're supposedly the beneficiaries of.
I'm confused. I'm very, very confused. And when they show these taste tests on TV, you never see people choosing Coke. Never. Now, there must be some people choosing Coke, because in the food stores, Canadians choose Coca-Cola more than all other regular colas combined, including Pepsi. You made Coke the #1 soft drink in Canada. So what does their taste test mean? All you Coke drinkers will never be on TV, except for me.
Bill Cosby is behind bars after a Pennsylvania judge sentenced him to 3 to 10 years in prison.
Bill Cosby sexually assaulted a 16-year-old girl at the Playboy Mansion in 1975. That's the verdict that was just announced from jurors in a civil trial in California. They found Cosby intentionally caused harmful sexual contact with Judy Huth. Jurors determined Cosby knew she was a minor at the time, but still pursued her.
Said that he drugged and assaulted you. You said multiple times.
Yes.
Right? You were a teenager, an
Yes.
aspiring actress. What do you believe happened?
Right now that I know of, 12 former bunnies that I know of that are ashamed to come forward, frightened to come forward, married with families, don't want to come forward, but they were also drugged and raped by Bill Cosby. Raped.
12 women that we've never seen before,
Nope.
that have not gone to
Nope.
the media yet.
Nope. We recently had a Playboy Bunny reunion, and we also have blogs and Facebook pages that are restricted to only former Playboy Bunnies. And when this hit the news, there was a lot of dialogue that went on our website with a lot of the girls. A couple of which private messaged me and said he did me too. It happened to me too.
I am a woman that's very comfortable financially. I'm really happy. I have everything. I don't want his money or anyone else's.
So then why are you coming forward?
2 reasons. One, I don't like to see these other women who had similar experiences called liars and trashed in the media, when I know that I can speak for them. In the second reason, it was that it might encourage others, because I thought, well, these are all new that I didn't know about, and there may be dozens or hundreds of other victims.
24 of Bill Cosby's accusers, together for the first time, share accusations against the comedian.
He drugged me without my knowledge, and he raped me. He flipped me over and raped me.
17 years old and an aspiring model. Shalon.
In April, a jury found Cosby guilty of 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constant, the former director of operations for the women's basketball team at Temple University. At Cosby's home in 2004, Constant is one of more than 60 women who've accused Cosby of sexual assaults dating back decades. Cosby had been out on bail since his conviction last spring. And on Tuesday, the Montgomery County Judge Stephen O'Neill ordered him to be jailed immediately. The judge also upheld a state board's finding that Cosby is a sexually violent predator, meaning Cosby will have to undergo monthly counseling and register as a sex offender with police for the rest of his life. Neighbors and schools will be notified of his address and crimes.
Public opinion doesn't form in a vacuum. It's influenced by what people see and what people hear and who they trust. Loyal audiences defend and repeat talking points. Media outlets compete for attention. Narratives shift, evolve, and sometimes conflict, and over time the line between fact, allegation and belief can become harder to distinguish.
On the last 4 alcohol charges, they also have a lesser to consider. They could find him not guilty of providing alcohol to molest, but guilty of providing alcohol, which is a misdemeanor charge, meaning Jackson would most likely still be out on bail. Okay.
These figures became the subject of serious allegations from multiple accusers. Some resulted in acquittals, others in convictions that were later overturned. There's something else. Beyond the legal outcome, a collision between accusation, some people might call them whistleblowers, and influence. In high-profile cases, the legal battle is only one part of the story. The other is resources. Millions are spent on legal teams, millions more on public relations, who craft and carefully manage messaging with media strategies designed to shape perception. People don't know how damaging Coca-Cola is for their health. They don't know how much pollution and plastic waste they cause the environment. They don't know that innocent people who are injured by their truck drivers who are poorly paid and high spend 8 years fighting to get compensation. Because a video about that gets 718 views. Coca-Cola always portrayed an image of racial harmony and teaching the world to sing. But in reality, it was always controlled by white people and exploited people of colour. That's why they were sued for racial discrimination in 2000 and agreed to pay a $192 million settlement. They don't know Coca-Cola was Hitler's drink of choice and that they sponsored the Nazis in the Olympics during the war. They don't know that in countries they destroy ecosystems and use precious water so regular people can't get access to it. And that's why they have to drink fizzy drinks instead. Coca-Cola spends billions on advertising, but how much does it spend on legal settlements? We don't actually know because there's no official records, but it's likely to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. They're also accused of using sugar that's harvested by children and actually killing off union people from other countries who stand up to them.
This year alone, 5 unionists have already been killed.
Solo este año ya han sido asesinados 5 dirigentes y trabajadores sindicalizados.
That's almost 1 unionist a week that's been killed in this country. And this is happening at a time that, as we heard this morning from the 3 labor confederations, that unions are disappearing in Colombia. The steelworkers has been involved in and continues to be involved in human rights lawsuits against the Drummond Company and Coca-Cola for their alleged complicity with paramilitaries in killing workers here. And for many years, the steelworkers has been lobbying both the U.S. and Colombian governments to actively and aggressively investigate allegations that U.S. multinationals have been aiding paramilitaries and to prosecute those responsible. Thank you.
Coca-Cola and Pepsi have both said they do not fund military operations in Israel and that they stay out of politics. But that doesn't seem very believable considering in 2021 PepsiCo Labs celebrated 3 years of new investment activity and partnerships with Israel venture capital funds and startups, which have propelled PepsiCo to the forefront of global technology in its field. Wonderful. And just recently Pepsi pulled out of sponsoring the Wireless Festival in the UK as Kanye West was headlining. And he's been very outspoken against Jewish people, and he was then banned from entering the country by the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer.
Settlements are built on land stolen from Palestinians. Settlements are illegal under international law. Boycott Coca-Cola!
So what connects all of this? Products marketed heavily to children.
How much Pepsi do you think you drink on an average day?
I really do like Pepsi.
Really? What's your favorite kind?
Do. It's Coke. For Diet Coke, real Coke, real Coke. My favorite kind of Pepsi's Pepsi.
Well, you don't drink Diet Pepsi or
no,
Pepsi
just regular Pepsi.
Celebrities are used to build trust at scale, and parasocial relationships with loyal fan bases are developed who are weaponized against anyone who criticizes or speaks out about the harm they are doing, as anything they've done wrong in their whole lives can be exposed in the form of a smear campaign. And legal cases can be dragged out for years at huge expense. Well, that's where crisis PR comes in, and the practice of dark arts, an ability to shape narratives which is unequal, discrediting victims and activism so no one knows what to believe. And someone who's been paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to coordinate such PR campaigns is a man called Michael Citrick, who's worked for PepsiCo and the Michael Jackson estate. He's also worked for Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby. He was engaged by Jeffrey Epstein during his reputation management strategy following his 2008 conviction. In 2024, he said thieves had broken into his penthouse offices and stolen his computers.
There's something called we call it black PR, and that's when you're taking an adversarial position against someone. I have something called the Wheel of Pain, which I wrote about in my 1989 book. It's the Wheel of Pain that has meaning in it is when somebody does something wrong and all of a sudden it becomes public. So, it's one thing if someone steals from a business partner and they get a lawsuit. It's another thing if someone steals from a business partner and they're sued, and then it ends up in the LA Times and all their friends and their neighbors and ministers or rabbis read about it. It takes on a different level.
So to bring this up to the present day, another crisis PR, Matthew Hiltzig, who also worked for Jeffrey Epstein trying to repair his image, has worked for influencers like Logan and Jake Paul, and now works for Mr. Beast.
I'd say that the most look, I'm always going to be partial to Harvey Weinstein for my 5.5 years that I worked there, and several years afterwards that I was consistently involved with his PR. Once in a while we do some things now, and Harvey and I still have a really good relationship.
And they've all made their money from marketing unhealthy products to kids, which they're being sued for. Like Feastables, Lunchly kids meals, Prime energy drinks, and Mr. Beast burgers. And more recently he tried to sell an AI subscription service to aspiring YouTubers so they could be just like him and make racist thumbnails. One of his secrets to making a video go viral.
Do you think attention is the most valuable currency in the world?
Well, of course. If you could post something and everyone in the world would watch it, you'd be the most powerful man on earth.
Jimmy wants to be the best YouTuber. I think he is laser focused on one goal. And I think whatever he has to do to achieve that goal, he'll do. And I think it was the smartest decision for him that he calculated, because he's very good with numbers. If I donate to charity, people can't say I'm shitty. If I give this homeless guy 10K, what do you mean I'm a bad guy? But I've always thought, if you're going to do something nice for somebody and you stick a camera in their face while you do it, you didn't do a nice thing for somebody. You gained something. There was a homeless guy on the street and you saw an opportunity.
Talk to me about the risk here, whether it's risk getting involved in these geopolitical issues. Also, I want to talk a little bit about risk when it comes to these partnership deals that you all do. How do you navigate that?
Well, in being around Jeff and Jimmy over the past year, we've been able to see there's really almost no one who can naturally, just very organically, be a part of all these deals. It's totally understandable that when something achieves the scale and scope that the Mr. Beast empire has, that inevitably, just like any large company, there is going to be some issue.
So just like with Michael Jackson, Jimmy Donaldson, aka Mr. Beast, is marketed as a philanthropist. Brand deals are done in countries where water is scarce, like Mexico, and labor wages are exploited by countries like the US. It's like history is repeating itself, or maybe it still hasn't learned from its past. In 2024, one of Mr. Beast's former employees, two actually, Dogpack404 and Jake Weddle, decided to blow the whistle on Mr. Beast and the deception he uses to sell his brand to kids. And one of his team, Chris Tyson, had been grooming teenage audience members in a Discord server.
So this is part one into my investigation into Mr. Beast. I recorded this before the Chris stuff came out. I was also going to come out about the Chris stuff probably in part 2 or 3. Because I see a lot of people saying like, oh, if you knew, why didn't you come forward? Why didn't you go to the authorities? Well, I was going to come forward. And also like going to the authorities isn't going to work because what are you going to say? Like you heard rumors that this person is this way or that, there's obviously evidence of like the Shad-based stuff. Like that's been out for a while. People have internally known at the company that like Chris is kind of a potential minors attracted person and the company protects her or they were protecting her and they protected her as long as they could. Jimmy knew, everyone knew. So, which I think that's more of a red flag than anything I'm going to reveal in this video, but
So after the video, I worked for Mr. Beast, he's a fraud, which has 16 million views, followed by I worked for Mr. Beast, he's a sociopath, which has 12 million views, went viral, was when he hired Matthew Hiltzig. And in the beginning, everyone was making videos about how bad Mr. Beast was, how for years he'd been promoting gambling and crypto and scamming his young fans. There were so many examples of where his humanitarianism had damaged the environment where he was filming. He made it seem like he cared about the environment by partnering with a cleanup robot investment fund his audience has raised nearly $33 million for, called Team Seas, on a beach where most of the pollution is caused by plastic bottles made by brands like Coca-Cola and energy drinks like Prime, which he himself endorses. If polluters aren't stopped, the rate of plastics entering the sea is set to triple over the coming decade. Then there's the weird plastic toys he sells and the merchandise. Car wrecks and sweatshirts he used in his videos were left in the ocean. There was a train wreck left on the track. There was also an Amazon Games partnership being filmed where contestants who weren't being paid ended up in hospital, which ended in a lawsuit alleging widespread mistreatment of the contestants, including sexual harassment, lack of medical care, inadequate food, and unpaid expenses and wages, as well as misrepresentations of how many contestants were even in the show. As the summer went on and he launched his backlash campaign, people forgot about the damage he'd done and the harm he could be doing to kids, and he went on channels with already huge followings. And then the narrative swayed the other way into discrediting Dogpack's claims and trolling Jake Weddle, just like happens with Michael Jackson to this day. So in the end, Mr. Beast could carry on and started doing deals in Saudi Arabia. These legal battles are not just about evidence. They are about endurance, resources, and narrative. He uses another of his brand partnerships, Team Water, to fundraise while live streaming with other influencers on platforms like Kick, and one of them, a horrible live streamer called Aiden Ross, who's already got his own issues with promoting unlicensed gambling and using bots, has been calling him out and asking him to show where the wells are that he helped him to raise millions of dollars for. Now Aiden Ross is claiming that Mr. Beast is threatening to sue him.
Bro, I got a text about threatening illegal. Bitch, try it, bro. Please try it. I swear, bro, I'm begging. Because the mother that threatened to push legal today, I will win. And you got money, so it's great. Like, please try it, bro.
In a world where corporations shape habits, celebrities shape trust, and money shapes narrative, the question isn't just what we consume, it's what we believe and why.
And in that first year, he had 7,000 page views. Basically, no one cared. And this year, we'll do over 60 billion page views. And that staying power, that reach, that fire hose of attention, we're now pointing at some of the businesses that we've started and are in the process of starting. So we have a consumer products group spearheaded by our chocolate brand called Feastables, where we did over 300 million in gross sales last year in the second year. We have our Mr. Beast Labs toys. We have our Lunchly, which competes with Heinz Crafts Lunchable. We're outselling them about 2.5 to 1 on the same type of SKUs, though we have real cheese, real meat, and no nitrates. So better for you, better for Mother Earth, and better tasting.